Hello and welcome to Monkeys with Fire. How are you this evening? I hope you are well. So then, tonight we do have a special interview, table talk interview with Pascal Rooze, miniature painter, who has been part of the channel now for the past couple of weeks. But we are looking forward to inviting him to the other side of the screen this evening. All right then, so I'm just going to look across and see if Pascal's ready. I think we're getting the thumbs up. Yep, he is eager to get going. So let me press some buttons here. So I'd like to welcome Pascal Rooze to the channel. Welcome.
Thank you very much. You're very welcome already.
Excellent. So tonight then, Pascal, we're going to talk a little bit about your sort of portfolio of work, how you got started as a miniature painter, and then maybe take some questions from the chat, hopefully give them a little bit of advice. But of course, the really great sort of news is that you will be doing a sort of semi-regular feature on the channel where you will be helping viewers tackling various aspects of miniature painting, yes?
Yes, very much. Really excited about that part, actually. It's one of the things that I love the most about this hobby is getting to what I know over to people who just need that extra push to get on to another level.
Excellent. No, we're really excited about it. I'm sure we're gonna learn a lot. I can't wait for that. Anything that helps me improve my painting, I am all for. But of course, we all sort of had to start somewhere, and so maybe that's the best place to sort of start the interview. And maybe just tell us, I mean, where did you start? What was the sort of the earliest?
The first time I got into contact with miniature painting was through a friend. I was, I think, about 18 or 19, and he introduced me to Warhammer. He was playing fantasy himself. And I was drawn to the game, actually. Just being able to game with my friend, that was it. And the first models I painted were dark elves, really old, metal-like dark elves. This is about 25 years ago, something like that. And I was really crappy at it at that moment. I painted with unthinned Revell paints. I don't know if you know them. And so the paint was really thick on them, and the dark elves had these big eyes, and it was really horrible. And I'm ashamed that I never took a picture of it, and I could never show it. I don't even have the model anymore. But that's actually the first time I got into contact with Warhammer. After that, I took an interest to the painting thing, being a little bit creative myself. I got a love for it, and I started going further and further with it. And my friend was a pretty good painter himself, so I got boosted by that. Then I got to college, and I got the hobby on and off. Painted and then painted months, gone months without painting. But then I got into contact with my first gaming store, and they said, "Well, you can really paint very well," and I believed them, of course. I did. Maybe it was true, but there was then the first local painting competition there, and I won a first prize, and I was really excited. Say, "Oh, whoa, this is my first time I'm entering, and I'm winning something," and I didn't expect that. So that really got me started to get myself improved and to start looking how can I do this even better. And the local community there was not really providing me with any extra information or teaching me how to paint at that time. And this is the moment that internet just began, So internet was at this time no more than a big library of articles and pictures. So Cool Mini or Not website became my primary source of information then, with lots of articles just showing how to, but with minimal pictures. So I took that and I read a real lot from the internet to improve what I did. and I got better. But it was only after a couple of years that the first really good painters in the world started doing um, these classes overseas. We've heard about classes being held in America or wherever, but suddenly someone decided to get them over to the Netherlands, and I believe it was Mathieu Fontaine that had the first painting class here in the Netherlands that I followed at that time. And that was the first class, and immediately I jumped up 2 levels. It, a lot of stuff immediately clicked and brought me so much further. And that was the moment that I really got a spurt on, and everything really went skyrocket.
So I've got to then instantly ask a question here and allow you to have a drink. So you said that straight away that class triggered something, and then you jumped several levels. Can you remember what was it? What was the thing that clicked with you? Which I assume would be different for everybody, but what clicked with you?
It's actually a basic a theory about how light and shadows work. Something that I'm gonna explain later on on the 24th. But he explained it to me really simple, working with spheres, and I don't want to go into that too much, but
sure.
Just the way he described it and the way you're hearing it from him, you're gonna do it yourself, and he's looking over your shoulder to correct you immediately, and just that the possibility of a tutor correcting you immediately, that's what is going to drive you along much faster. Because if you're watching a video or if you're reading an article, that's all you can do. You can follow it and that's it. And you cannot ask it questions. You cannot have it comment on your work or feedback, something like that. So this is there was this part of light and shadow that really stood out for me, and it all went up from there.
Right. We'll just have to welcome Super Munchkin Liz to the channel. Welcome. We're just doing an interview here with Pascal Rooze, who's telling us about his initial sort of steps into miniature painting. Okay, right. That's really interesting, and I guess yes, to have somebody over your shoulder guiding and being able to give you instant feedback, I think that's a big step, isn't it? Because as you sort of said, that the internet now is that immense library that we can all access, but still to have a teacher is the next level, isn't it?
Exactly. So there's instant feedback on what you're doing, and that's really cool. It's gratifying, That's cool.
Okay then. So from that initial then class, where did you go from there?
So this is the time that I decided to slowly step away from tabletop painting, which I was doing at that time predominantly because I was playing games. But I felt you're this kind of hobbyist where you're either a gamer or you're a painter or you're somewhere in between. And I was leaning toward painting more and more. So I thought I'm gonna leave the gaming. I'm gonna leave the gaming and I'm gonna do more painting. So I'm gonna do more display painting, because then you're just painting something nice and that's it. It's not for a game. And so I started to follow even more classes, and a friend of mine, two friends of mine, were being able to get more painters to the Netherlands. And so I got to follow about 1 or 2 classes each year from really big names, and that really went fast. And then I started doing competitions locally. I did I think 2 Golden Demon Awards that didn't deliver anything, but was a good experience on the competition side. But then I did Scale Model Challenge here in the Netherlands. And that was instantly more gratifying and more giving me more feedback on what I was doing. And just having the feedback and having the classes and having the interest and the motivation to push yourself even further and further and further, that's so motivating to get you to keep on going further and further. So it looks like I'm repeating myself over and over, but it's exhilarating to see yourself grow, you know?
Yes. No, I can well imagine, yeah. We've got a selection of images that you've provided. Is now a time to... Do we want to bring those on in? Yeah, okay. Okay, so maybe you could tell us a little bit about this miniature.
Yes, the Wood Elf Champion. This is probably the oldest piece I've still got. And it's not by far the worst piece I've done. But like I said, it's probably the oldest one. I used this in a D&D campaign, a character I played myself. And maybe the first character model I really tried my best on at that time. If I look at it right now, then I would say, yeah, well, it's basic tabletop quality for me, right? I'm not trying to make anybody else worse, but this is my lowest quality. But at that time, it was my best, and I was really proud of it. But yeah, so this is what I did, I think, 15, 20 years ago.
Right. I mean, we always sort of talk about on the channel that everybody starts at a different level, potentially. And we all have to start somewhere, and hopefully our painting improves with each miniature,
Yeah.
with each day, with each year. You know, I've found it fascinating asking the various sort of directors of studios when they've come on, can I take a look at your first mini, because it's not as good as hopefully what our current minis are. Yeah.
In that retrospect, I just wish I still had that old Dark Elf. Because you could have a laugh at this, you know.
Okay.
But, well, this is the first piece, so maybe next picture.
Yep. So these have got big guns.
Oh yeah. So these are Dark Angels. After a while of painting a lot of fantasy models, especially Skaven, which I did 2 armies for, it's incredible. I got suckered into to do some 40k playing. Which I never took very seriously, well, the game exactly. I always had fun with the big imaginary of 40k, and so I jumped in, sometimes trying to have a laugh at how serious these players can get about how their minis should look. You're not seeing anything of that in this picture, but this is probably the first squad I did, and so this is my tabletop, and this is what I did then. I think I won a couple of best painted armies local games with this, and yeah, this is what my top game was at that time. I think it was just after this, and after I won a couple of these best painted armies, that I decided, well, I'm gonna go more for the painting side than for the playing side.
Okay. So, I mean, you're saying how these are sort of some of the earlier models you've done, and you were putting forward into the local sort of competitions in the store. Is that something that you would say is beneficial for new painters? Is it a good source of sort of confidence building? Does it work that way?
To start off with tabletop gaming first.
Well, no. If you have started painting and you think, hey, I think my mini looks okay, and putting it in maybe one of the local sort of store-based competitions.
Yeah. Absolutely. As long as you're very aware of what you're doing and what you're trying to get from it. If it's feedback you want to get, I won, why did I win? Or I didn't win, why didn't I win? What were the judges' criteria? That's going to give you feedback to improve on your next piece. If you're doing that, then I think you're set for reaching higher goals. If you're only dead set to win, you're only setting yourself up for failure and for disappointment.
Yes.
Inevitably, you're gonna not win. You know, and if you cannot deal with that, and the good can come from that, then you're not going to get any further.
Yeah, absolutely. It's for the learning aspect as opposed to the I want to win this competition.
Yeah, and seriously, if you want to be, if you're seriously want to say to yourself, I am good now, then this is a point that you're. Even if you're painting this tabletop quality, you cannot say that because you didn't have the mileage yet. You've got to make millions and millions, not millions. You've got to make a lot of models. You've got to paint a lot just to get that experience in until you can say, yeah, now I am starting to become good. And at this point, at such a tabletop point, a lot of painters think, now I'm good. And then they're being disappointed, and it can crush your motivation really bad.
Right. I do. Looking at these miniatures, I think it's the color scheme, and because they're 40K, it does actually remind me that I actually entered one of my local Games Workshop miniature painting contests when I was, how would I be, maybe 13 or 14, and it was a Warhammer 40K Ogrin. So it looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but as an ogre. And I got third prize. I couldn't believe it. But at that time, I was surprised that I got anything, and unfortunately didn't ask why did I get the third prize. I was just happy I got it.
That's youth, right?
Yes, exactly.
You're 13. Right?
Yes.
Not what you're thinking of.
Yeah, for sure.
It took me a lot of time to figure this out. In the beginning, I wasn't like that at all either. I was happy and also expecting to win, and when I didn't win, I was displeased about it myself. But I had to learn how to deal with it.
So there are competitions you've entered where you've not been successful then?
Oh yeah, a lot, and some that I got away really disappointed, only to figure out later that it didn't matter actually, and. So yeah, that's I'm in a good place considering that now.
Okay, should we move on to the next image?
I think it's the Chaos Lord on the Juggernaut right now.
It is. So you can do red. I just do angry blackberry.
Exactly. This was actually just a study. So like I said, since these Dark Angels, I started to focus more on the painting and on techniques and stuff. And that is when I read about Sky Earth Non-Metallic, and I wanted to try that. So the only thing I had were articles explaining to me how, and I've got this reference material from. I always forgot his name, but it's also a Lord on a Juggernaut, really old model. Magmatrix, I think he called it. And he did really superb Sky Earth Non-Metallic gold. So I got interested in that, and so I tried to do it myself, and I painted this. And actually the Lord on top of it really I didn't care about. So I painted it last, and I was really focusing on the Juggernaut itself. And only as a study. And when I look at it now, there are really actually a lot of mistakes in how the reflection should work. But it's working on some level. And then, I ended up finishing the base and finishing the Lord, and okay, there it is. And then somebody said, oh, you should enter it in a competition. And then it won, and I was going like, how come? How did it win? This is just a study. This wasn't for real, And this was the moment that I really knew, okay, I've got to do this. I've got to go for display painting. I've got to go for really cool stuff. And yeah, cool.
And so, I mean, you're talking about this as being a study. I mean, is this something you do regularly where you just grab hold of a miniature and say, okay, I'm just going to practice on this. I'm not even seriously painting it. I just want to try an aspect out.
Yes and no. Probably always. I think about this at about this time, I made a promise to myself to keep increasing myself. Every model I'm going to do next, I'm going to do one thing that I haven't done before. So I'm going to try out new technique, or I'm going to paint at a certain style, or I'm going to try out a funny color I haven't used before, something like that. So every time I was pushing myself to learn something new. And if I learned it, I tried to do it again in the next model and then get something new again. So everything actually became a study. And I always try to look at a model that I paint, looking, okay, what can I do with this? Is there something new I can achieve with it that I haven't done before, or haven't done often enough? So you got to push yourself, you know.
Okay. All right. I forgot to ask right at the beginning. So you said you started painting probably sort of late teens, wasn't it? Do you have any sort of background in art in other areas beyond miniature painting?
No, not especially. I've always been pretty creative. Did a lot of cartoon drawing, um, but always black and white. So this is why miniature painting really got me further as well, because I got to learn about color use, which was really new and scary. But actually, that was about it. I tried to go to art school, but didn't enter. So I did something completely different. So no, actually never really got a solid, background in art or whatever, but only interests and what I'm gonna look for myself, like museums or classes or reading books or something like that.
Right. So yeah, primarily self-taught in that case. Yeah. All right. Excellent. Let's move on to the next mini
Oh
picture
yeah,
then.
I always love to show off models. That's okay. And this next one is really one of my favorites. Uh, and this is something it came into a vision, and I always loved the Terminator models from 40K, and especially the big claws, the big power fists, and they only had these in a fist version, and like the only thing they're good for is stomping, and I think well, they can open those fists, right, and they can grab something and can crush it with it. So why not have it show its strength by grabbing something and showing that I'm holding you and I'm not gonna let go whatever you try. So then I saw this imaginary of a space wolf in fight with a horror, really a small, feeble creature against this really tough space marine. And yeah, this was the first time that the thing I tried to learn from this was creating the base. So I mainly did the gaming bases with some special rocks or a special, extra flock or whatever. But this was the first time I really created my own base, and this was completely new for me, but so much more fun, especially like the floor tiling. That was really fun to do. It's just flat and trying to create some 3D imagery on it. And yeah, it was awesome. Uh, the thing that was toughest about this was probably the fist, because it's an open fist and you have to mold the horror into it. So I had to cut off all the fingers. It was actually the first time I really did any serious conversion. Um, but I found that, well, some fingers were easily repositioned, but then the thumb was really awkward. And if you look at it closely, the thumb is like he's holding it like this, while actually the thumb should be underneath. But yeah, I didn't I didn't figure that out at that time. Um, but this was probably the toughest thing to do, and yeah, I think it worked out great. I think I've got some more.
Yeah.
On it.
Well, shall I zoom on in on this one, and then let's move on to some of the other images, so we can take a bit
Yeah.
of a pan round, because there is so much detail going on, so we can actually see clearly now how that fist is sort of enveloping the top part of this horror's head. He's got his eye just peeking out between the fingers.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. I wanted to have those kind of details in there, or else you wouldn't see the horror on the horror.
Yes, yes, he's like suddenly going, hang on a second, this is not faring well for me. And of course you mentioned then the detailing on the floor, which I know we've got another image of, but let's just take it in sort of situ here with the model. Snowyak was just saying there, awesome weathering. Yeah, I mean, it's great. We got pipes coming out. I'll just... oh, you can't... there you go. You can see a pipe there. Just there's several pipes. You got the textures on the actual basing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the weathering on the actual Marine himself. I mean, just all the chipped armor. This guy has obviously been fighting for quite some time.
It was incredible to do that. It's probably the first time I did this as well. I've learned how to do it. It was, I found it easy to do, but it's so time-consuming and really precise and really serious work. But it was so much fun to do.
All right, let's go and grab one of the other images in that case then. So now we're getting to see from a slightly higher vantage point, and we can really sort of take in all of the work that you've done with the Space Wolves emblem, the runes around it. So again, I'll just zoom on into this. So how long did it take for you to do? Can you remember?
No. Hours and hours and hours. I gather it was somewhere between 50 and 80 hours in total.
Okay. And this was this entered into a competition? And if so, how did it do?
I think it won gold at the Lowlands competitions, which was supposed to be the golden demon of the Netherlands. It only ran for 3 years, I guess, and then it stopped. And this was entered into the first of that, and immediately won gold as I think it was a duel.
All right. Let's look at the next one. Oh, there we go. Yeah, no, it's really nice. Again, I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? When you're making sort of mini dioramas like this, you really are the movie director, aren't you? You're freeze framing that scene of action, and you know, I think as others have said in the chat, there's a whole story to be told, and of course you've captured that perfectly with these two in this epic battle.
Yeah, love that.
I'm thinking of that scene in the Aliens versus Predator movie where they both look at each other, the adversaries. It's near enough that, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. The hard part was to get the eyes of the character in the right position, looking at the horror. I think I did that about 3 times over. It was really hell.
So we got the vantage point from behind here. Again, we got the horror sort of. It's trying to push its way off.
Exactly. This was weird as well. So I had to break off the arm of the horror in 3 places just to get that angle. And if you're really looking at that wrist, the angle of the wrist is really awkward. But it just pulls off, you know?
Yeah, when I see it, I think, I guess for yourself, you can see the mistakes, the errors, the things you would love to correct. But for anybody else looking at it, it's just awesome.
Yeah. Well, you're always your own hardest critic, right?
Yes, oh for sure. And then so here we go. So this is the base now. So this is all essentially a flat surface that you have hand painted.
Yes. A lot of working with rulers. So that's easy. The easy part actually, just to draw in the diagram and the logo. The wolf part, I did actually. I printed out the wolf logo from the book, enlarged it a bit, cut it out in 2 pieces, the head and the mane, the neck, and just laid it on top and drew it around with a pencil. So I got the shape right, and then I had to fill it in myself.
Right. No, I mean, it looks amazing. It looks really cool. I mean, again, this is the thing, isn't it? It's taking miniature painting to that next sort of step where you are just looking at everything within a sort of scene and building that scene up from scratch. So that one won you gold in, you said, was it the Lowland?
I think the Lowlands painting competition from Games Workshop themselves.
Right. Okay.
And I think I entered it to my first scale model challenge, and I think it won silver or something like that as well.
Okay. Because I guess that's the thing. I mean, I well, maybe in some of the later images, you know, maybe the question's more valid. But I know that there are some sort of experienced painters who sort of do the competition circuit, because you can paint up one miniature and then go from competition to competition, can't you?
Yeah, I read about that a lot from these painters that go around the world even, and one single miniature earning 5, 6, 7, even 10 awards.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
Yes. No, it's
I'm always afraid of getting old at a certain point, you know.
Right, right. Okay, so let's move on to the next image then.
Yeah.
Who is this?
Oh yeah, Ivanka Kurganova. I'm not seeing. Yeah, there she is. Oh yeah, this was an exciting time because Raging Heroes decided that there were too few female models in the industry, especially in gaming styles. So they decided to do a complete alternate version of Games Workshop 40K models in female style. I think they only made one male model at that time. And this is one of the characters from that. And I immediately loved the poses and the imaginary of those sculpts. But this one is called Ivanka Kurganova, and my girlfriend is called Ivanka, so I needed to have this.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And so I painted her up, and yeah, I really loved painting it. But actually, that's it.
Right. No, she's amazing. And of course, we're good friends of Raging Heroes on the channel here. We had the pleasure of doing an interview with Benoit many months ago now.
Cool.
But yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Yeah, their minis are really, really awesome. Lots of detail. And as you say, lots of sort of very dynamic poses, lots of action to them, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. And great quality product, really.
Should we just zoom on in just a little bit? So again, I mean, you'll have to tell us, did you put her into any competitions? Did you?
Yes, she did enter in a couple of competitions, I guess, but only in Scale Model Challenge, I believe, because this is the only event I went to that she could be entered. The other one was the Lowlands competition, but that's only Games Workshop, right?
Sure, yeah.
And I don't think she won anything here, but that's the thing. The Scale Model Challenge judges you on your entire display. There's every piece in there. Gonna pick one out of it. That's your best, and then awarding that one.
Ah, right. So you might have put maybe several pieces forward. Right. Okay. All right. But yeah, she and was your girlfriend happy then with the result?
Oh yeah, sure. But oh yeah, it's another miniature. Okay.
but it's your namesake.
Exactly. She was flattered. That's it.
Good. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next.
There's a back shot from it.
Oh right, okay. Oh right, yes. So there's lots of detail on the back of the sort of the cloak here. Let's zoom on in on this.
And this is actual what was it called? Indentation, or it's popping out relief.
Yeah.
So it's really on there, but so it made it really easy for me to paint it. but then again in non-metallic metal.
Yeah, well, that's what I was just about to say, because of course, looking at this reverse here makes the blade and the gun stand out, and I assume, of course, that's non-metallic metal as well.
Yep.
So whereas with the Juggernaut, you were saying you hadn't quite mastered it, we've now got a couple of minis further down the line.
Yeah, you can see improvement, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure, yeah.
So yeah. In the meantime, between that moment and where I am now, I've learned that you can actually do several styles of non-metallic metal, and so there's like this style, which like the gold, which is much more a comic version. Then you've got a quick, at least I try to name it like that, a really quick version of tabletop style non-metallic, something that you can use on tabletop models when you're painting an entire army. Because when you're painting an entire army, you're not going to paint real non-metallic metal. It's way too much effort. And then you've got the really realistic style of non-metallic metal. And I've just learned, did a class a couple of months ago with Land Pisarski, sorry, who won several awards with his style of non-metallic metal, which is really almost not distinguishable from actual metal.
Wow.
And it's really incredible. Yeah.
And
Real is such a great painter in that aspect as well.
And from that class, those teachings, have you incorporated that into because the scissors and the key are the sort of the most recent thing I've seen on the Tinkerbell model? Is that what you've?
No, totally not. No, not because it might be too much work, but I really wanted the metals on these items be real metal, because it's so big. I think it would be too fake to get it in non-metallic metal.
Right.
I'm trying to create something that you get fooled by. Oh, is that a real scissor? You know?
Yes. Yeah.
Falling off, but there it is. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes, because I mean, it's near enough 1-for-1, isn't it?
It is actually. Yeah. And I fooled my girlfriend once before with it. So yeah.
Yeah. No running with scissors, Pascal.
Exactly.
Even fake ones.
So yeah. And Ado is saying, yeah, Lance class was great. He was there as well.
All right, excellent.
Yeah, it was amazing. And I'm still trying to incorporate what I learned there, and I still need to practice much more with it. I haven't done much with it since, but I'm trying to do so on my next piece, I hope.
Okay, awesome. So let's move past this mini. Now, this one possibly, well, other than the fact of that your name is obscuring the title, so let me just, I will take your name away for 1 second, because she shouldn't need any explanation as to whom she is.
Exactly.
And I will zoom on in slightly so we can get her a little bit fuller on screen. There we go. So do you want to tell us a little bit about this one?
This was this was a real jump in my motivation, actually. So this was the first one of the first models I entered in Scale Model Challenge, which in my opinion is the best competition I've ever entered. And this won gold in the standard category. There's only masters category after that. So with this model, I won the right to enter the masters category in the next year. And the thing is, I got this model from someone who contacted me, who said, well, I've got this little Red Riding Hood, and I'm not doing anything with it. Do you want it? Because you're a pretty good painter, so you can have it. So okay, I'll do that. And I was having fun with it, and as I was progressing with her, I really saw this red from the cape and clothes popping out. And it came to me to create a scene where the red is the first thing you see. And as she is called Red Riding Hood, well, it all came together for me to name it Red. So all I had to do was create a base around it, and exactly like with the Space Wolf diorama, this was a thing that I really had to think about how I'm gonna present this model and what I'm gonna use to tell the story. How much do I need to tell that, and how much can I leave away? Now I'm gonna make a appealing background and backdrop for it. So I started to play with it, and then I thought I've got to put her into a thick forest, and I've got to hide the wolf somewhere. If you're looking closely above her, or on her, on her left side, I guess, you can see the wolf in the background.
Yeah, I think it's Snowyak just said, "Wow, the wolf! Only just seen it." I've been looking at these photographs for the past couple of days. I've only just seen the wolf. So that wolf would have killed me easily.
So this is the cool part, putting little details in there that you're going to see only after you've seen it a couple of times. And even the judges noticed it only at the end. So it was really cool. And I really had to invent a lot of stuff because I didn't know much about building bases, but I did got to learn about how to make lines work for you, how to frame something, how to draw the line for your eye towards the model, etc., etc. So that's how the side trees, the trees on the side, are curving upwards, just to enhance the effect of, to frame it. And I really loved doing that. And then I decided to do the back side as well, figuring that on this side you're looking as a viewer, but on the other side you're going to look at it from the other side, but it's through the eyes of the wolf.
Do we actually have that photo? I think we do, don't we?
If I didn't give you that, I
yes. No, there we go. Yes, sorry, yes. All right. So all of this has been. It's a two-dimensional painting, then, isn't it?
Yeah. This is all flat. Yeah.
Again, I took it as being some sort of transparency or something, to be able to see through.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes, wow. Yes. This is oh wow.
So, yeah, that was fun, and this is the thing I loved about doing this. You're not only telling a story, you're playing with the medium. There's so much more to see. There's a lot of other pieces I see. I have a completely background, and I'm thinking you can play with that. You got to be able to look at a model in 360 degrees. So why not use it?
No, that is, well, Snowyak's going to be there because that is truly fantastic. And as I say, I absolutely didn't. I was, as far as I was concerned, it was some sort of transparent, film, gel film, and that you were looking through at the miniature. I didn't question it for 1 second.
That's a big compliment, though.
Yeah, that is wow. I'm just going to skip past because we kind of then we had the nice one at the side here as well. No, that's a really, really nice piece. And so again, so which competitions did you enter it to? What result?
Only in the scale model challenge.
Yeah.
The one thing is, I did, I think a year later or 2 years later, I did a online competition with, I believe, the Hobby Hangout on Facebook. Liz should know if she's still listening. And I won third prize or something, which was a sit-in with the Rodriguez, I believe it was, one of the judges and a really good painter. Someone I really forget names all the time, so I'm sorry for that. But I sent him those pictures, and he gave me some really good advice that if I wanted to improve on this model, then he gave me some pointers in Photoshop. You should put some colors here and some colors over there, and so. And that really helped me move on indeed onto the next model.
Right.
I never went back to this model, and I hardly ever do. If I finish a model, it's finished, and if I think I could have improved, I'm going to leave it like that because it's my learning stage, you know.
Yes. Yeah. No, and again, it's good that you do all of these photographs, of course, because that's then always the reference, isn't it? You can always look back at it.
But I only did that since I think started really cataloging all my pieces since 2013. So that's why there's so little really old stuff.
Right.
Okay, and this is 2014, I guess.
I should start taking some photos myself. All right,
Yes.
let's move past Red, who is awesome. Now, tell us what this is.
This is the cosmonaut.
It is.
Oh yeah. So I've decided to go on to more the painting side and decided to do more display painting. So after Red, I decided to go, well, maybe I should venture out into other scales, other themes, etc. So then I found this. Well, this is the artwork that the model is based on. And I really love the model, but this is, I think, 75 millimeters, something like that. So much larger scale than I was used to. And so I needed to learn how to work with airbrush for this to work. I didn't have an airbrush at that time, so I really bought one for this. It was a really crappy one, but I did the first pieces with the airbrush in this. But this is just the artwork. I didn't do this.
Okay.
I think Badawan, Bavidadan was the painter, and then somebody made the model, which can be later on. And I really wanted to emulate that artwork, and there she is.
So yes, so again, it's using the sort of three-dimensional medium to its optimum, isn't it? Because of course we've got essentially a two-dimensional image similar to the artwork we've just seen, but we can move the camera and take advantage then of the three-dimensional nature of a mini and art.
Yes, and this is exactly what I wanted to try to. How I'm going to make a 2D image into a 3D image, like a poster. Oh, I think this is it. So yeah, the hard part was mounting the piece so that it would really float. And in this picture, you can really see the transparent plastic rod going into the back.
I mean, again, so this is 75 millimeter. So,
Yeah.
all right. Again, really wonderful. First time we're using an airbrush, as you say. How did you find that? I mean, again, was that a big learning curve, or?
Oh yeah, yeah, and it still is. I'm still not really comfortable. I can do my thing, what I want to do with it, but it's not my preferred method. But especially in this thing, the backdrop, I did completely wrong, and I was learning how to mask things off, and I really screwed that up, and I had to go all over again, etc., etc. But making mistakes is how you can learn, right? And this was a piece that made me learn a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
Like red on her clothes, the basic color for that was done with airbrush as well. But then I went over with a normal brush to do highlight shades, deepen shades, etc. But I went over so much and so much and so much that hardly any of the airbrush work really stands out anymore.
So we'll just bring her up a little bit closer here so we can see her straight on.
I think I've got a close-up on the face as well. And this is also the first time I really done female faces. And that's when I found out that, oh, yeah, there's something like female makeup. That was a thing. That's something guys never learn, you know. So it took me a couple of tries and studies to get that right as well in the years after this.
So Snowyak's asking here, you find her too orangey? Is that are we talking about the uniform there, Snowyak? I assume so.
Yeah, I think that was also the critique a bit on her, that the red wasn't red enough, but I figured if I made her exactly the same red as the backdrop, then she wouldn't stand out. So I had to do something with the tonality of that. And I really rather have the backdrop being that red than than the front. And maybe if I would do it now, I would have made a different choice. I don't know. But I knew at that time I had to do something different.
Yeah, I think looking great, and as you say, it's all the sort of the learning curve, isn't it? And yes, I suppose you could spend several miniatures just practicing doing facial features and makeup, as you say.
Yeah.
All right.
And I've done a lot since. Oh yeah.
Okay, so let's move. So again, did you enter her into a competition? And
you went to the same competition as I think as the next model. Yeah, that's
next
it.
model.
Next model.
Jump
and
onto this
a couple of others. So she was part of my display, but it's the next model that won the prize.
And this is very different.
Oh yeah, and this was insane. So up until now, I was a bit of a hasty guy, I really liked doing the details on the model, but at a certain point, I would lose a bit of interest, and I just wanted to have it finished. And in the same matter, I would do the bases. It's got to need a base, and let's put on something. And so I gave myself a slap around and said, okay, the next model, you're going to be really nitpicky about every single detail you're going to find, and then you're going to do some more. So I got the model first. It was a freebie with something, and I really liked it. And I said, okay, I'm going to paint this model really cool, and then I'm going to put her into a story. And so I started to think about what's going to be the story, and I envisioned her to be into a what's it? A pub?
A tavern.
Thank you, a tavern.
Yep.
Where she, well, there's been a massacre around there, as you can see, and I wanted to be able to tell a big story with as minimal as possible. So I'm gonna create a scene here of the tavern, just some blood splatter, and I just did not want to use dead hands and people and body parts lying around. Just the idea of it being there. So it's never there, but it's gonna be filled in by your own mind or by the story. So this is the thing. This is what I wanted to do. And I wanted to have a little girl in a basement hiding as the sole survivor. And then I started to work on the base, and everything except for the little book and the bottles and the candle, everything there is scratch built. And this was the first time I really built something like this completely myself. And this is also a process of error and going back to it and trying it again.
Yeah, I mean, so is this what, plasticard and sort of green stuff built up? I mean,
it's everything. Like the wall is a piece of plasticard, and then I slapped on some putty.
Yes.
I think it was some kind of putty. Then I sculpted all the stones in it. But the door itself is completely made out of plasticard. The door post is wood. The floor is completely wood. So there's all kinds of materials in there. The sign in there's also plasticard. Yeah, and even the small the wanted poster, that's just ordinary paper.
But depicting the woman who's inside the tavern now, yes?
Yeah, exactly. And she's wanted. This is cool thing. This is a redraw of the artwork that's on the card with the model.
Right, right.
It was fun. So
Okay.
yeah, and so like I said, there's a lot of try and error in this, and also slapping myself around for trying to nitpick on every single detail. The first time I made the door, it was just a single piece of plastic art that I would paint up as being wood. And then when I fixed it, I said, no, 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 this is not what I meant. Come on, Pascal, you can do better than this. So I tore it off, and I made every single beam of wood in there, and then the metal parts fitting over it, and etc. So I made every single thing, and it was tiresome, and I hated it at the time, and I really wanted to throw it away. But then I got back to it, and finally, after hours and hours and hours of work, I was able to get to the painting stage, and immediately I started to love it. And the story I was trying to tell is forming even more and more in my mind, up until such a point that I was even thinking, are the viewers even going to get this? This is so intricate. What I'm thinking of, I don't think the viewers are going to get this. They're going to like it, but they're not going to see my story. And that's when I thought, oh, who cares? Let everybody make their own story about this. So go ahead. And yeah, that's how it entered, as with a line there, set an example in like these speech signs.
So we can actually see on this image now, we can see the small child, like I say, the survivor, down in the bottom cellar. And
this was a search, right? So I wanted to find a model of a little girl or something that I could put down there, but there was nothing that I really liked in the scales that I could find. And then I found this little piece. I think it was with something from Privateer Press as a single piece with a bigger model. And so I ordered only the little girl, which cost me a lot of money just to get it over here. But I needed it. And I've got a picture of it, how small it was. And I was even surprised at how small it was when I got it.
I think that's the next one, because yes, that is absolutely minute.
Yeah. Well, actually, my story in my head was there's this really evil wizard or something in a tower far away around this town, and somebody did something to slight him, and he sent her up to the town to set an example. This don't mess with me. And so okay, I'm going to this tavern and I'm going to slaughter everyone. Okay, bye now.
Right. And so again, so this one was the award-winning piece then of that particular competition year.
This won an award, I think bronze or silver or something, and yeah, I was proud of that. That was really cool.
And can you remember how long it took to build then, if you were so meticulous in its construction?
Ages, oh, really ages. Yeah, I think it took me the better part of a year, almost,
Wow.
just to build. Taking into account that I'm not hobbying full time, so it's a weekend here, a weekend there, but then yeah, it still took a lot of time. It's still worth it.
Wonderful, yes,
I can still
fantastic.
look at it and love everything, every detail I did on there.
I mean, it's definitely something, isn't it, to basically envisage some sort of epic project that is going to take you many months, and have the patience and the perseverance to actually follow it through.
Yeah, that's although some visions can lead you exactly the wrong side, and I've been there as well. Getting these really cool visions and building them, and in the end you're going to look at it, no, it just didn't work.
Right.
Okay, not learning experience, right?
And so,
Yeah.
have there been many projects that have essentially found themselves onto the cutting room floor?
No, I never sent anything to the cutting room floor. I always try to finish it. Or no, that's not true actually. I've got a couple of projects still in waiting line, which will probably never finish. And why that is, yeah, sometimes it's just not working. Sometimes it's something I'm really excited about in my head, and I start building it, and then I lose interest, and I see something else that I'm much more interested about. So yeah, it happens.
Okay, so let's we'll move on from this one. But again, so who do we have here?
This is a Dark Elf Sorceress. Um, let me see. This is a model I've actually painted, I think, once or twice before this. But this is a model I did during a painting class from Meg Maples, who came from Australia for the first time over to Europe. And a really lovely, lovely lass, and a really good chat. And she taught me a couple of things, but in the end, we both surmised that she was not able anymore to teach me anything new. And this was something that startled me, because I was still on the impression that I'm doing classes to learn, and now there's someone who's saying, well, you're at a point that you've got to teach yourself, something like that. That's what I took out of it. Um, so, and not that I was that good, but I've got the basics, and I've got everything I needed to progress myself. So while she was doing painting with this model, with another model than this, she said, "Well, let's do something with brown skins and something with makeup." And then I got this from home, and I took that to the class, and I painted up this. And it was just pure fun painting it, and I was not really focusing on anything other than just slapping on some paint and having fun with painting this miniature. And at the end, I was stunning myself at how certain details and how certain colors and choices really, really came out wonderful. And this is why it still has no base. This is just for me to show, wow, you're at this point now.
Right. So this is where I suppose you sort of reach that point in your learning where you sort of look back and go, well, I've actually learned most of what I need to know. There's obviously always more, but you have more confidence in what you've already got. It's more natural now.
And I did some small classes myself at that time for the really beginners in the scene. But this was actually the point that I believed in myself to take it a notch further and really develop a course with a basic idea and with some what do you call it, some thoughts in it at how I approach painting, and trying to get the beginners from beginning level to a much more than advanced level. Just by trying to understand what I am doing and how I am looking at models. So this is that point for me to really get that, and also make myself much more as a tutor in that respect.
Okay, let's take a look at the next. Oh, so we got sorry, it's the same model, just from a different angle, so we can see her in more detail. I love the hair and the flowing robes. They're really cool. But that's it. And then you can look at. I can say, look at the skin. There's so much I could learn just from this one model.
This was actually one of the things I found new in her class, how to do dark skin, and it's not just brown. And that was the trick to do other things with colors, and that was awesome. But then again, like she said, you're gonna learn this really small bit, and I can take it away, So I don't need to spend an entire weekend to learn the trick about this.
Right. Excellent. Okay. So then, I certainly know this character, and I think there'll be quite a few people in the channel who will also know her. Do you want to tell us about Sarah?
Killmister. I saw the Scale 75. What's it called?
Kickstarter.
Thank you. For this model, and I got it immediately with the bike, mind I. So the complete set. There's a motorcycle with that and a tanking station and etc. When I got it, I saw that a large part of the bike was 3D printed really, really bad. And it annoyed me so much that I threw the entire bike away and the entire backdrop, and the only thing I kept was this model and just that little piece of the base, which actually was a lot bigger. So I painted her up, and I was seeing her in every style of blondes and sexy babes and your general obvious colors, right? And I thought, yeah, I'm going to do something completely different with her. I'm going to make her a goth rock chick with a lot of tattoos and dark lines under her eyes and etc. Trying to do a study on black as well, how to do black leathers, which I'm not sure I really got at that time, but then again, yeah. And it was fun to paint her and trying to learn about how to paint skin, female skin especially, because there's much less contrast in it, much less really angles. It's all flowing, so how to do that. And yeah, I just generally had fun, but also had my most worst times with it, um, especially with the skin over here. Painting it and then painting it back, and then I went wrong and painting it again, and etc. etc. So it really frustrated me at times, and then again, I really loved it. And then it was done. Just all of a sudden, it was done. And okay, there it is. And so I entered it, and in a competition. I'm not sure it ever did something, but I loved it, so that's cool. And I just wanted to shock people with all the tattoos.
Yes, I mean, so these are all obviously freehand painted. Wow. And I take it, so did you use airbrush on this, or is this all just traditional brushstroke?
No, traditional brushstroke. I think I was learning about wet blending
Right.
around that time, and I tried to do the skin in that part. So that's why it was so frustrating, because then it just worked and then it didn't work, and I got to go back and forth a lot to do the tones right. And I think this is where I really learned the most about female skin.
That's amazing. Really, really cool. And as you say, there's this particular character has been obviously it's incredibly popular. It's one of the most popular characters I think Scale 75 does in that sort of range. But to see it in, I'm going to say, what a non-traditional style, absolutely brings sort of new life to the character. She does look really amazing.
Yeah, it was fun. We got a lot of good reactions on it, and some good critiques as well, though. But it's mostly about techniques or about details, finishing. I'm known to leave some mistakes here and there and not tidying it up really good. And that this model does have that a lot.
Okay.
But then again, yeah.
And I'm going to just zoom on into the base area here, because of course I'm going to assume that you again hand painted all of the detail on her nameplate.
Oh yeah, oh that was fun. There's this thing I really love doing freehands. And the tinier the better, and the more frustrating the better. So I did this. I just because I had to enter for a competition, and I could do the simple metal plate with the engraving, and then I thought, I'm gonna go wild with this, and I want to do something with her name and the original lettering as it is on the product, and well, maybe see something with the cogs and the steampunking things in there. And this was so much fun to do. And I think I've had more fun doing the nameplate than the model itself, almost. So, yeah.
And so again, yes, it is all just two-dimensional plastic card, isn't it? I assume, and you've just free-handed it all on top of it, which is awesome. I love all of the sort of scratches into the sort of the concrete. They look great.
Yeah. Those are things that you just start with it. So there's the letters, and then you're finished with the letters, and then you think, oh, it's not done. It's needing something more. So you come with the cogs, and then still there's some empty spaces here. What can I do with it? Oh, why not some scratches? Oh, and scratches are done easily enough. Oh, this one. Oh, wow, yeah. We've used this as a teaching model in Pepa Saavedra's class, and she's a brilliant painter. Mostly works with airbrush on busts like these, and so we got to learn about how to do that. So mostly the skin and the hair were done in that class, and afterwards. Mostly when I'm using a model in a class, it's a teaching model for me. So when I get home, it's going to end up in my cabinet and never look around back to it. And this is actually the first model that I picked up again, and I said I'm going to finish this one. So yeah, she's sculpted after a famous actress from way in the back in the black and white vampire series. Well, that's the story anyway. So I painted her up, and I thought, well, if she's gonna be a vampire, then you've got to see it at least somewhere. So I've got the puncture holes in the neck, and that's something I tried new on this model. And yeah, it's the first. I think it's even the first bust I've done.
Right.
That was a new learning step for me. Yeah. Getting out of my comfort zone, definitely here. Yeah.
Okay, and so beyond it being the first time you've done a sort of bust, what would you say was the big thing you learnt from doing this particular project?
How to approach the skin painting with an airbrush, mostly, and I think that's something everybody in that class should have taken. She's got away with diluting the paint much more than probably your average airbrush painter. So it's almost working with glazes through an airbrush, and this was really awkward, and I still have trouble trying to emulate it again. It gets all runny and etc. But yeah, that worked really well, and it actually very easy as well. And just having to paint a completely different style of medium, a bust, that really sets your mind as well to what am I working with and what kind of styles do I need to approach. Because if I would be doing your average Games Workshop comic style on a model like this, it would utterly fail. So you've got to reinvent yourself to look at a model completely different, create tones completely different, etc.
I love the hair. I mean, it seems so natural and lifelike. It's really awesome.
Some time. And some slaps from Peppa Saavedra as well. Right. No, it's got to be lighter. Okay.
So in fact, when you were doing this, were you getting lots of advice from her then? Was it a constant, you need to do this, need to do that?
A bit. She was with Fernando Ruiz from Fair Miniatures, and the two did a co-coaching as it would. She would do the painting, he would be walking around, giving some tips and stuff. But the class was really big. There were a lot of people there, so it was mostly just following her lead and doing what she does, and hoping the best for it. And she would make rounds, giving some tips. Yeah, it was good.
Okay. Super Sarah's just saying here, She missed what paints you use the most and if you seal your figures.
I've come to learn to try out paints, and which makes that I try every kind of brand that I can get my hands on. I've got mostly Vallejo and Scale 75. I've got a little bit of war paint or the army painter. I've got a couple of bottles of Games Workshop, Citadel, and odd bits and ends here and there. You've got some very bright, what's this? Let me get it. Like aerocolor inks, just to paint with it. This was a tip from Banshee, Alfonso Giraldes, just to work with inks. And so I work with all different kind of colors. And what I've been taught and what I've been doing is trying to figure out what's the quality of this paint. What does it do? What does it have? Is it matte or is it glossy or something in between? Can you use it for shading, or can you use it for glazing, or is it, what are the qualities of each paint? And everything has its own use. And just by trying out different things, you find what you like, and you also find what you need. Sometimes I've got, I think, 4 different kinds of black, just to be able to get a matte black or a glossy black to emulate certain effects or certain textures. So yeah, what colors do I use? It's not important.
Yeah, it's what's needed for the project, isn't it? And I guess it's through your experience, you know which brand to go for, which paint to choose.
Oh, yeah, exactly. You've got to try. You've got to be able to try it out. You've got to say to yourself, okay, I'm going to buy a small set of colors from this brand, and I'm going to see what it does. And I've had a number of brands in my hand that I've chucked into the bin immediately because it didn't work for me. Not saying that they were bad paints, but I could not work with them. That's why I hardly have any Citadel, because those paints do not do for me what I want my paints to do.
So Sarah did a follow-up question here saying, and I'm assuming she's talking about the Scale color paints, is Scale worth the price? I love their metallics, but what about their other sets? So what is your opinion on Scale color paints? Put you on the spot.
I'm loving them more and more, actually. Yeah, no problem. Because it's a thing the last class I did was with Lon Pisarski about the non-metallic metal, and he was wild about Scale 75, and he also told me why, because they're so matte. A lot of people like them because they blend very well with each other and they're really opaque. But I like them because they're matte, and I don't always need a matte paint. But when I do, I'm going to need that one, because there's no other product that I know of that's that matte as Scale 75, and it's ideal. And the thing is, I can mix that paint, use the quality of that paint, that mattness, into another paint that's not that matte. So I've got, for instance, I've got some flesh tones that straight out of the pot are really glossy, and I really hate that. So I just mix in a bit of the Scale 75 white in it. It makes it a bit bleaker, but I can work with that. But it's also toning down the glossness. And that's what I really, really like about this.
And sort of, I suppose from what you've just been saying now, I mean, that was the purpose behind doing Paul the Angry Blueberry, that I wanted to try using the Scale 75 paints purposely to explore what they like. And also, I wanted to experiment with this sort of matte finish. So I completely concur with everything you've just said there. And it's great to hear that you're saying it as well. So that's awesome.
It also has its downside, because certain colors, and most colors, really bright fantasy type of colors, and your really bright reds or bright blues, end up being not so bright unless you add some extra inks or glazes to it that can brighten up that part. That's so you've got to learn what's the upside and downside of each paint. And this, especially scale 75, is one with a very big upside and also a very big downside.
Right, but again, I think as you sort of say, it's knowing the effect that you want for that particular project and then using the right paint for it. WTF Online is just saying, thought that the scale matte looked good on Monkey's Mermaid. Well, thank you. And yes, I was really happy with how the hair was developing from that character. Looked brilliant. I was really enjoying it. This was one of the steampunk Smog Rider mermaids, yeah. So it was the paint was perfect for that, and I will continue painting her at some point. Super Sarah's just doing that follow up. Then, do you seal your work, and if so, I guess what do you use?
Often not. So display pieces, I hardly ever seal them because they're going to end up in my cabinet just to look at. So I'm not going to touch them anyway. And if I'm not careful, certain seals can discolorize the model immediately, or even over time make them change the color of it, you know. So I try to leave them as they are. If I'm doing something that I'm going to play with, because I still play games, then I'm going to seal them. And especially for tabletop miniatures, the best way I've learned to do this is by doing a gloss coat with brush, really thick. So that's going to be handle proof, to say. And then after that's dried, you just use a matte sealer over that to get rid of the glossiness. And then you've got a really good handle proof model.
Okay. Should we move on to the next piece then? And who do we have? Okay, we're gonna have to describe this one because this is again. We're staying with the busts theme here.
This is so in the year before, at the time of Sark, Killmister, and etc. At the Scale Model Challenge, this model was previewed there and sold for the very first time, I guess. It's the Red Alabama model. I'm not seeing it on screen right now, but my screen is a bit chunky. It is the Red Alabama, which is actually like a teenage girl, probably bitten by a werewolf and turned werewolf herself. There we go. But I wanted to do something different because that's who I am. I never want to do what everybody does, and I completely transformed her into something else. Actually, this model was not finished because I wanted to do a fairy. So I changed. The things I changed were I made the leaves into the hair, and I've altered her bracelet, and then the necklace she's got was actually a cross that was including her necklace, and the cross were burnt into her neck or into her throat. So I had to sculpt that closed, and then sculpted a new necklace in there. So that was all, and the little crown on her head. So that was all new, and I wanted to do fairy wings on her back, or at least part of fairy wings, but I never got around to that, and never got to get the effect just right. So I tried different things with that to create really like dragonfly wings, you know. And you still hearing me?
Yes, yeah. Well, carry on. We're all captivated by what you're saying.
And so yeah, I completely changed her in every way. I really had a tough time with her skin, and this is one of the pieces I did with the airbrush a la Peppa Cervedor style, like before. But when I was halfway, I did these markings on her shoulder and her side of her head, and then I noticed on the other arm that a lot of on the other side there were really big mistakes there, and I just couldn't get it away with the brush anymore. So I had to really do it all over again. And so that was the skin that first frustrated me. And then I had to do the sheer clothing, where I really wanted to do was a wet t-shirt look, you know. And a lot of people, when they do sheer, it's dry cloth that's see-through. I just really wanted to do a completely wet t-shirt. And this is why she was shushing, like, don't tell anyone I've got a wet t-shirt on. So a bit of naughty fairy, to be honest. So a lot of work in there, and yeah, loved the learning experience. And there are so many mistakes in there that probably I see, but I was also really proud when it was done, and I entered it. And was probably the first time that I was really aware of the effect that a competition could have on me. That I did not get anything. I thought this was one of the big pieces, and it just didn't do anything. And I was wondering what happened. And afterwards, I could figure out that it was because it was exactly that year that a lot of big names came to that scale model challenge. It got really traction. It got the real traction for the competition, and really big names, and it got really crowded with enormous talent in there. So yeah, obviously the norm for judging got way, way, way higher, and this just didn't got in. But it took me a while to realize that, and to get over my emotion and let my thinking take over.
Well, I mean, so did you feel really? Was it quite a knock to your sort of confidence then? Did you bounce back real quickly, or?
Well, I've got a habit of bouncing back really quickly, but it annoyed me, and I really didn't know what to do with that emotion, because in my mind I knew why and how and what I should do, but in deep down I still felt it, and I didn't know what to do with that. And then I found out it's because it's a competition, but actually I went there just to show off the model. But since it's a competition, you expect to have some awards and prizes and recognition, etc. But actually, the only thing I wanted was people to come up to me, oh, that's a cool model, and that's it. And when I could tell that to myself, that it was that, then I could remember all the people that came up to me telling me, wow, this is a really cool model. I hope you can win. And when I realized that was when I could say, well, I don't care about winning anymore.
Because you were a winner already.
Yeah, exactly. So this is why I'm going to competitions now. It's just to show off and talk to people. Oh, what do you think? Oh, that's a cool model. Okay, good. I don't need to know what rank it is or which one is better or worse than mine. I just need you to know, want you to tell me, what do you think? And from other people that I respect a lot, telling me, what do you think could be improved? And that's something for me to take further. And if it gets a medal, that's cool. And if it's not, that's cool as well. But this is probably the first time I had to learn that lesson, and I had to learn that lesson a couple more times as well before I really was able to say to maybe not go to competitions anymore.
Because I guess that's the thing, isn't it? As a painter, and you've already sort of said this as we've been talking, there's a bit of you in each model that you do. You are connected to it. You don't set out to do a lousy job. And certainly then when you put forward that work for that criticism, or, trying to enter in some sort of competition, to then it to be knocked back, or somebody not quite see the vision that you can see clearly in your mind, can be quite a knock to your confidence and that.
Yeah, and I think that's because there's a price to it, and if you do not earn that price, then that's equal to having failed. but that's not true. And especially in scale model challenge, which this is exactly why I love that a competition, is you're not being judged against other painters, but you're being judged against a certain norm. If you get that norm, then you get an award. So there can be multiple gold awards and multiple silver awards, etc. if you reach that norm. So you're actually challenging, you're competing against yourself and against what the judges want to see as a norm. But yeah, like I said, in this year, that norm got so much bigger because of the really good names and the really good pieces that got there, that yeah, maybe a year earlier I would have gotten a medal with this, and that year it didn't.
Right.
And that's the harsh truth of competitions. You've got to be aware of what the competition means. You've got your judges, and they've got a view, and they want to see something, and if they're not going to see that, then well, it's just not your competition.
There's certainly something that I didn't sort of realize, but I've started to pick up on from the general sort of painting chat. Just like I suppose with Hollywood, there are themes. There are, in Hollywood, you typically get the same film being made by several directors in that year because it's just popular for whatever reason. And it's a similar thing with painting, that certain techniques become popular for that year of entry. So, for example, non-metallic metals, if you're not showing that, you're not in with the pack, are you, so to speak?
But that's the exciting thing as well, because they're like pioneers that do these things, and everybody says, "Wow, no, we haven't seen that before. How do you do that?" And they're going to teach it, and everybody can do it, and you're going to see that a lot. But there are just a certain kind of just a small number of people who can have that effect on the community and on the painting quality of everyone. Roman Lapat, Lam Pisarski, Kirill, you can name really big names. They're all having that impact on the painting community. They're bringing in something. If you look at non-metallic metal techniques 20 years ago, not only the old masters in ordinary painting, like in the Impressionist era and etc., they knew how to do real non-metallic metal. And then it got lost into this hobby, and only I think 10 years ago people came back with, oh, this is non-metallic metal, and they improved on it, and then somebody came in, this is looking like real metal, but with opaque paints. And so it's exciting, but yeah, it also brings that you see these waves of these techniques or styles coming on. Yeah. I think that if you can be the odd duck shining in that wave, and you should have recognition as well.
Well, that's interesting. I'm just going to go to the chat here. So, Melon is basically saying, could you make a tutorial about this sort of effects, like transparent wet clothing? So there's an idea for a future workshop. And then the green skin Carnifex. Totally understand that after entering the Golden Demon, because I would have loved some feedback, but due to so many, this doesn't happen. But sometimes I feel it's best to do something different too, because the same thing can get lost in the crowd.
Yeah, exactly.
And then hello to Big Rosa. Welcome to the channel. And then Ido saying, I'm so curious about SMC scale model challenge should be refreshing compared to the GW comps. So is the
yeah, definitely.
So the scale model challenge, is that solely based in the Netherlands, or is that where?
Yeah, it's a Dutch based. It began as an event for military and historic figures mostly. And then all of a sudden they thought, hey, well, there's this fantasy sci-fi version of the hobby as well. Let's try to incorporate that. And well, the first year it was just a really small part of the entire event, and it grew and grew and grew. And along with as the community grew in hobby painting miniatures, and so in a really short span, I think in 5 years' time, it really began to become bigger than the military and historic parts, which is something they still try to balance. So it's no one's going to get an upper hand, but it's difficult. And they've got a buttload of categories to enter in. So it's not just your single miniature and your vehicle miniature, but yeah, I think they've got about 23 categories to enter in, all different aspects and techniques and dedications to go into. And each and every one is going to be judged, like I said before, you're going to get norm, yes or no. And so you're always competing against yourself. But the best part, I think, is that you can go there and you can see 600 plus minis painted all exceptionally great. Even in the beginner categories, every piece is painted great. It's great quality. There's hardly anything that's really bad.
Let's move on to the next image, see what we have. Again,
Fun girl.
Very different.
This was fun. So this is one when I got onto Instagram, and I found this 3D sculptor, and he was just posting these images of his work, and I saw this model, and it's all unpainted rendering pictures from his work, and I fell in love with it. And everybody said, it's really weird. It's not right. There are too big eyes, too small mouth, or whatever. The shape of the head is wrong. And I think, yeah, but that's exactly why I like it. It's the aspect ratios are all wrong, and still they're right. And so I asked him, how can I get this model? And I said, oh, here, you got the file, and print it yourself. Just go ahead. And I thought, oh, this is cool. I've never seen anyone do that for free. So I printed it myself, or let it print for me. And then I thought, well, if this guy is going to be so easy with it, I'm going to make him proud, and I'm going to try to give him something that he can show as a product, box art, something like that. And again, I wanted to do something punky because she's got all these piercings, etc. And I wanted to do something with tattoos again, and I just wanted to have fun with this. And the thing is, I really was into skin at that moment, so I really tried to emulate freckles in there and really imperfections in the skin and etc. And yeah, it was fun. And it's still a weird model to see, and a lot of I've entered it into a scale model challenge, and a lot of people say, oh, yeah, it's great painting, but it's a really weird model. Cool, right? Yeah.
So Big Rosa. Yeah, Big Rosa is asking, I'd like to ask, how do you go about painting flesh foundations? I never seem to get the right base tone for the skin I'm looking for. How do you go about prepping for skin tones? I'm sure this is a workshop all in its own right, but just a
absolutely.
But just a brief, maybe.
I try to find first of all, I think of what kind of skin do I want? Do I want it tanned or bleak or general, or do I want dark skin? Do I want black skin, etc. And if I've got that down, then I can pick my colors. And the thing is that I have learned is the product you're going to use is very important in this. So at first, when I started out with painting skins, I used a lot of Vallejo, and I've got this really big range of Vallejo skin paints. They sell it as a set, but most of them I find too glossy. Most of them I don't really like as a skin paint, although I can use them for tan skin, etc. So there are actually 2 or 3 of those that I really used a lot at that time, especially because they dried up really matte, and that's something I want for my skin. But after a while, it tended to be constantly the same type of skin, And just by adding a little bit of blue or green or red or yellow or whatever, any other color into that, you can easily change the entire skin tone. And without making it blue, you can add a bit of blue in there, and it's completely different skin tone. So that was the easy part. And then all of a sudden, AK came with a new line of paints, and I got to test their skin paints, and immediately fell in love with those because they dried up really, really nice, really matte. Not as matte as Scale 75, but that's not as matte as I want skin. So at this point, I'm mostly using those, and the way I tackle skin is I try to do a base tone in the color as I want it to be. So the mid-tone, just the tone, I want this color of pink it to be, then that's it. And from there on, I'm going to paint the shades and the highlights as far as I need it to be, which is actually a technique that I'm using on almost everything. Paint the mid-tones and then go shades and highlights after that.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
Well, as we say, I mean, hopefully flesh tones would be a really good workshop to do, because I think it's something that we all possibly have a little bit of difficulty with. And if we've not got difficulty, it's a case of expanding beyond to try out different shades of flesh tone is the learning curve, isn't it? I have seen some tutorials which goes back to the old masters in painting, where they advised that flesh would be painted over a green base tone. I'm sure you're familiar with that. What's your viewpoint? Where do you stand on it?
I've done it once. I've seen I think a YouTube video of someone doing a painting of it in crayons or something like that. Starting with a rough sketch in dark red, brownish colors, and then painting it all green and bright yellows. And then he started using reds to get the red tones back. And after a while, it just was skin tone. And I think, oh, wow, I've got to try that. And so we did the class with Alfonso Giraldes, and we got the bust he made, what's it called, the anonymous bust. And we did some painting on that and la la. And when I got home, I said, I'm going to try it on this model. It's just a face, but I'm going to try this. So I actually tried exactly what that guy did. So I built it up with brown reds first on the deepest shades, and trying to get the volumes out just by sketching on it with the browns. Then I started using greens, very different, really bright, yucky greens actually, to paint over it. And then I'm starting to think about how, especially with male faces, you can divide it up in three parts, where the upper part is mostly where there's a lot of yellow in there, the middle part where there's a lot of red in there, and the lower part where there's a lot of blue in there. And so when I started painting over the greens with the colors that incorporated those colors, and so it's layer over layer and using a lot of transparency to let each color shine through it. And in the end, I had a face, and I thought, wow, this although it's not neat and it wasn't perfect, it was believable. And for the first time, I thought, wow, yeah, this really works. This is something completely different. And instead of learning a trick, first do this, then do this, then do that, I started to think about, why does it work like this? And then I got the understanding. And so it's something you can apply to different areas and different fields after that.
So Sarah's saying that she indeed uses the green and then does skin tones over. So it does seem to be a popular method. But again, like I say, maybe it's a workshop for a future date that we take a look at skin tones. Biggs Royce is saying, thank you very much. Awesome. Rhyme is saying, neat little model. I like the part chibi cartoon look. And Snink exactly. was saying earlier, like the tattoos.
The only thing I just want to say about this figure is that I really wanted to do a lot of tattoos in there, because if I didn't do anything with that skin, it would be just a lot of plain skin, and that would be making it boring. So yeah, there's tattoos all over, and actually the last one I did, which I was really fussy about whether I should or should not do it, is the one along her spine, and I was really fuzzy about it to get it right. It had to be exactly along the spine, and I was measuring it out, and it was completely fine when I started painting it, and when I was done, I looked back and I thought, damn, it was not good. It's probably just a millimeter or something like that, but it's just off, and that's only I can see that. But yeah, those are the things that can annoy you, you know.
Well, Snowyak's saying that the spine tattoo is the best. So you've definitely got one vote there. Just a bad tattooist, he's saying.
Oh yeah, probably.
Super Sarah, do you mute your colours for tats, or do you do a skin glaze over it?
Yeah, always a skin glaze over it, and the trick is also to, especially with the darker tones like the blacks and stuff, is to just a little bit of your original skin tone in it, just enough to have it seen, and when you glaze over it afterwards, it pops out just a little bit more. And that's what beginner tattooists in paintings often do wrong, and makes the tattoo much too harsh, much too like it's something you rub on, you know, a rub on picture, and it's not incorporated in the skin as well.
Yeah. Yes. Again, that's the. It's that sort of level of learning and experience that's where we can hopefully learn from you, because how you see something is that, you know, slightly higher level. I would just put in, if I can get black characters on a piece of skin, I'd be doing all right.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Just exercise and experience and a lot of mistakes.
Yes.
That's it.
Hopefully we can learn from those.
Let's hope.
Okay, so let's move on. So we're following her on round. So wow, and the tattoos do continue. So this is now onto the far side. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Koi fish.
Ah, yes.
So to do these tattoos, I'm really bad at inventing them myself. So the thing is, and this works for everything, is get good reference material. So I did a complete folder with a lot of tattoos that I could see done on her, and especially like this koi is exactly the same as what I saw. Could have done a better job at it, but it's what I saw done on my reference material.
So Snink is saying, would like to see a tutorial for how to make tattoos. So we're getting a list now. And Super Sarah's, a little koi, love it. I hope I sounded just like you there, Super Sarah. And Rhyme is saying, wow, well done, well done.
Thank you, Rhyme.
Okay, let's move on. So whom is this?
This was a journey in itself. So this was again a model I picked up at a scale model challenge, and at this point I'm sensing a pattern in how I behave, going to the scale model challenge, handing in models that I've picked out the year before. So nowadays I'm going to go look for the models I'm going to hand in next year, and this was a model done being sold by what's his name? Kyle. Well, I'll figure it out later. But a really cool model, and in original she's holding a skull, and you can choose from an ordinary skull you've got to paint up, or a transparent skull. And she's just an ordinary historic figure. And again, I needed to do something different with her. So this is the time that there's a lot of well, the Ghost in the Shell movie was on, and there's a lot of like clockwork models and cyborg themes and etc. So I think, no, I'm gonna have fun with this, and I'm gonna do that. Also, there was a bit lazy thing because her wig is a two-part piece, and the back part that should have fitted on there didn't fit completely, and I already saw I had to do a lot of refilling and modeling in it, and I really didn't feel like that. So I left that part out, filled it with a lot of cogs, as if there was a lot of cogs in her as her brain, and then I needed to paint her skin as being something like a cyborg. So I only painted the panel lines, and the thing is that I even amazed myself at times that I was looking at it and I was like, oh, are those real indentations on the model? No, I painted it like that, and oh, that was cool. And yeah, there you see the brain. I completely just glued in some weird cogs and stuff. And then I modeled the watch in her hand completely, as if for her to say, "You are the same as I, aren't I?" You know, the clockwork in her hand is the same as the clockwork in her head.
This is wow. Yes, I mean it is absolutely stunning. It's very interesting that the chat, as soon as you tell them about a new version of the Fantastic, they're all narcissists and basically awarded themselves before you. What does that say about our community here?
I would have done that.
But yeah, I mean, oh my goodness, yes. It is... Yeah. It's just another level, isn't it? And you've, as you say, you've taken what was a, I suppose, sculpting manufactural error and turned it into now the highlight of the piece.
Yeah, at least it was for me. It really brought me some headaches as well to just get it in there and make it believable. It was really tight fit and really had to drill out a lot of out of her head. And I think that if there is something I really hated about a model and still hate afterwards, like the question earlier, then that part is it. It just came out just right, but in the end, I think for competition-wise, some elements in there are just not good enough, and probably that's also why it didn't win anything. But that was okay, because I love the figure.
Yes, no, I totally agree. It is. It's beautiful. Super Sarah saying, super thoughtful piece. Big Rosa is gobsmacked.
Thanks.
And now everybody is clapping. And clapping for the right person.
Yeah.
Okay. I did skip past the other one slightly, so we'll just give it a little bit of showtime there. And as you say, the sort of ghost in the shell skin sort of texturing, the paneling, I mean, just looks awesome. And of course, what's really nice is that's built upon just really, really awesome painted skin in the first place.
This was the scary part as well, because I did the skin and I was really happy with it. And then I thought, yeah, now I'm going to fuck it up.
Yes, exactly.
I've got to do an exactly superb job, or else I've got to do it over completely. And yeah, with a lot of really tiny steps and details, and just right.
Brilliant. Let us continue. So we go past her head there. Oh, and here we go. So an even better image of the back of her skull with the mechanical brain, and her looking down at the sculpted clock, the timepiece in her hand. And I assume this is it all sort of green stuff that
the handpiece, the hand clock is, except for the face, which is some metal. What's it, the flat metal?
Okay.
Right. and the cogs are actual cogs from little clocks.
Sure, yeah.
I want to make a remark. There's a funny thing, and
Is it the previous image?
yeah, about the clock in her hand.
Yeah.
Nobody is remarking about that, but she's holding it upside down, and nobody saw it. And I actually meant it to have it open like that, so she could look into it. Because if she would hold it otherwise, the view would be awkward and not fitting the composition. But actually, she's holding the clock upside down.
Right.
But yeah, that's details.
Yeah. But again, that's the thing, isn't it? That's the difference between, you see those little details, and we're just, as Big Rosa says, gobsmacked by the overall image.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like Super Serious says, it's the knob to wind it up is in her palm, where it should be on top.
Yes.
But this is a deliberate choice. This is something you should be able to do as well. Choose deliberately to do something that looks good but is not right, just to have the competition in the composition in the right way.
Right. Let us. Snow saying here she just doesn't look at the time, but at the clock as a clock. Oh, so there you go. So that's how he's interpreted it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, so then we get back to our
another Sarah Kilmeister
fan favorite, but now looking very different.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So Skill 75 came with a new Kickstarter to do the busts and of previous characters they did, and so I saw they did Sarah Kilmeister, and immediately I had to have her again. And the fun part was that as one of the bonuses, you would also get the 28mm Sarah Kilmeister. So I've got that lying around as well. And so I thought I'm going to do a three-piece, with the original 75mm Sarah in the middle, and all three going to look like exactly the same. And then I started painting her, and I think, no, I'm not going to do that again, because especially the top part is mostly black and skin, and that's it. It's black leather and black hair and their skin. How boring is that? And I don't want to do that again. But what am I going to do? Because I'm not going to do the blonde, standard, typical motor chick. And that's when I found out that leather was still one of my weaknesses, how to create the real leather textures. So I did a lot of research to do this, and tried out different kind of techniques and different kind of textures. Like the corset is completely different setup than the jacket, which is a completely different setup than the gloves, and even the bands on the goggles are done differently and in a different style of leathers. So it's actually this is again another study of mine, and this is one where I really had a hard time figuring it out and doing it right, making it believable. And in the end, I just went all the way and going over it again and again and again and again, and trying new colors and looking at it and what am I doing wrong, and going back at it and trying to fix my mistakes until the point that I'm able to say, now I'm happy with it. And then I did the back piece, and I think I screwed it up.
Why do you say that?
I think I should have done a tighter job on the freehand.
Okay.
That's me. So who cares? Yeah. I think I've got a picture somewhere lying around where the back piece is still not there, and then there's a beautiful piece of leather there. So yeah, there was a time I was figuring I'm gonna leave it like this because it's still a beautiful piece of leather, but it's also boring and it's missing something. So I chose to do the back piece.
Okay. And so I guess, as I've just maybe done a quick preview inadvertently, we come up to a more recent piece that you're working on, yes?
Yeah. Oh, this is such a delight to work on. Tinkerbell, a commission I got to do. Initially, I only had to do the Tinkerbell itself, and I've seen the pictures of the model before, and even the painted versions, and I was really stunned about it. And I already could see it was a bigger model than I was used to. But at that time, I thought it was like a 75 millimeter tall model. And when the client came in and presented the resin parts, I immediately saw this is going to be huge. Oh my God, did I get myself into? But some clever uses of airbrush combined with just an ordinary brush stroking, and this became a really lovely piece to work on. And I found out that because of the larger scale, you've got to be more intricate with certain details. You cannot make flaws. But on the other hand, it is much easier to get certain details out. So like the face and the eyes, it felt for me like I had massive canvas to get really good eyes in there with reflections and the iris and etc. etc. And so I really loved working on this and create some tones to like redder elbows or knees as such things. The client was seeing how much fun I was having with it, and they initially thought, well, we're going to do the base ourselves, and they thought, well, we're never going to get something that's going to fit with that piece. So would you please do our base as well? And so they came with the entire base. So I got to do the base, and I was looking at it, and in miniature painting, especially in the smaller types, you're not painting the reality, but you're painting an exaggerated reality. So if you've got to make a shade, you're going to make it darker than it actually is, because it's tiny. So you've got to see it. But in this piece, that's a style that's not going to work, because then it's going to not be believable, because all elements are so big. You really wanted to make real, you know. And so that's the challenge I'm facing right now, is thinking about textures. And this is really the thing I'm learning now, is how to create very different textures all around. So I've got my metals, I've got glossy wood, but then I've got really matte yarns and the threads and all. These are all very, very different kind of finishings that I've got to take into consideration, and it's very educative. I'm learning a lot about this, and learning about the products I'm having, about what do I need to use, and yeah, well, it's amazing. I'm still thinking about, well, I've done this with airbrush mostly, as you see it on the picture right now, and as it stands right here. And I've still got to go back with the brushes to darken some shades and to put some highlights and to write some mistakes and etc. So there's still a lot of work in this, but it's really fun to work on.
So May Lenif has a serious questions. How do you paint the wings transparent?
The transparent paint.
And there you go, May Lenif, right? Of course.
No, that's those wings are they're made like that. So there's nothing done but glued on.
And saying it's a texture paradise. Yes, I mean, as you describe, you are learning so much from it.
It's like the spools, the wood from the spools. That was the biggest thing. I've done a wood coloring on it, and they were done, and I'm thinking it's still not believable. So I went back, did another color, and it still wasn't believable, and did another color. And then I thought, let's put a satin finish over it. and all of a sudden it just clicked, and there it was, and it was done. And yeah, it's really bizarre how something that easy can suddenly make it much more real. Talking about scale model paint, the yarns and the threads are done with scale model paints, or at least mixed into the mix, just to get that matte effect. Just a little tip.
Okay. And so this, I guess this one is a sort of ongoing project for you, isn't it? Really, as you sort of sat there behind you.
Yeah, I'm trying to get her done for this year's scale model challenge in end of October. Still got a lot of work, but I'm confident I'm gonna pull it off.
Yeah.
And again, this is gonna be a piece that's, if compared with a lot of other pieces there, it could be better, or it's not comparable, and it's not going to win anything. But this year I'm really going to say, look, I've painted this, and just have a glee about it, and that's it.
I did notice on your Instagram that because this model is based on a comic book artist's piece, and you got the thumbs up there from him, yeah.
Jason Campbell, one of my favorite comic artists, and yeah, he did the artwork, and Pathos Creations did the model here, and yeah, and I'm using the color scheme from another artist, Jim Capone, who did the original model for the box art, and it's amazing. And J. Scott Campbell gave indeed his thumbs up a couple of times already, and honored by it, and that's the biggest compliment one can get.
Indeed. Okay, then we'll move on to the next piece. So who is this?
So this is the finale, I guess. Let me see.
But haven't we seen him before?
Exactly. So it's the Wood Elf champion from before, and I repainted it. I just at first I was actually looking for a duplicate, but it was really hard to get it. So I just threw it in a thinner and repainted it just to have a comparison. And the next picture is going to show that side by side. Trying to do a scenic scene, or a woodland scene where he's standing on a big branch, and trying to do well the best I can on that model in styles that I know of now. And yeah, it was so fun to see him relive. And all of a sudden, I was taken back to that time when I was playing him in D&D campaign, and it was fun bringing back memories.
On behalf of everybody, say thank you very much, Pascal, for your time. We look forward to your first workshop, which is on the Monday, the 24th. And you are doing light and shadow.
Yes. Yeah, I gave a hint about that earlier, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm gonna prime a really old Games Workshop ogre for that to really demonstrate what I'm talking about.
Okay, excellent. We look forward to that then. We'll all attend school bright and early.
That's nice.
We'll have our pads ready to take notes.
And be there.
Snake was saying, very interesting interview. Pascal's a very good artist.
Thank you, Snake. Thank you. Yes. Well, it was a pleasure, really. It was really my pleasure.
Awesome. Okay, well, we'll let you go. Thank you very much, Pascal. And we will talk to you again very soon, I'm sure.